You can make e-learning a truly great, engaging and transformational experience. Gone are the old days of throwing PowerPoints and PDFs up on a server. Now you can really multiply the different types of media that you use to transmit your knowledge and information to your learners. So one of the main ways that you can do this is by creating videos, and talking head videos is a great way to make online learning as close to that classroom experience that people are used to. By having a human face looking into the eyes of the viewers, you can make this experience personal, personable, and bring in that human contact that keeps people engaged. Now, talking head videos is quite like what I'm doing right now. It's quite literally when the trainer or the presenter is standing in front of a camera and their head is talking to the screen. There are two different ways that you can film talking head videos. Now, one is actually situated in environment. This is quite simply setting up a camera in wherever the place is and wherever it is that the trainer or the presenter is situated, and just pressing record. That's the environment in which they are in that particular moment. Now, the second method is with green screen recording. Now, I'm actually recording this particular video with a green screen behind me, and I'm also recording my screen on my computer with the PowerPoint slide on it. So by having a green sheet basically behind me, it's just a green pop-up screen, I can, in the post-editing phase, just remove that screen color, which makes the background behind me transparent, so that in the final version here, all you can see is the PowerPoint slide that's behind me. That can be great for doing PowerPoint presentations like this. If you are delivering more of like a classroom type topic, this is fantastic because you can just do what I've done here and pop up all of the content up behind you on the slide. It also, where there's a green screen, you can put anything behind you. You could have moving video footage, you could have all sorts. You can change the screen, you can have screencasting where you're moving the mouse around on a computer and demonstrating how to use a software or how to use the internet, for instance. So that's one of the ways that you can make this training experience quite engaging. Quite simply, you would save these as MP4 files and just press upload onto your system in the right order. Now, demo videos is another one. This is a bit like the kind of the cooking TV show. I like to think of this methodology. This is where you would perhaps set up a camera, lighting, and you would be physically demonstrating how to perform a particular task or skill. You know, like you would watch a cooking show, you more see the hands doing the chopping, doing the mixing, doing the demonstration, rather than having the talking head. Now, camera would obviously flick up to talking head to bring those key points home, but more than anything, it's more about demonstrating a particular skill or practically implementing a task. So if you've got something more practical in your workplace, this could be something that you would be doing in the background. Another method is using voice over slides. So this is more the traditional technique that was used. Now, if you have trainers or presenters who don't like to be on camera, really it's not a huge difference to being in front of a classroom, albeit you're talking to a lens rather than human faces. This is where you can simply record your voice over a script. Now, this could work if you don't necessarily have access to subject matter experts or trainers. What you can do is work with a subject matter expert to develop a script. If it's information that has to be delivered explicitly, where no mistakes can be made, there's no room for interpretation, where people have to follow something exactly to the dotted line, a script may be required to make sure that you're doing that and you're not giving any wrong or missing out information. So get a subject matter expert, for instance, to provide a script, and you can record your voice over PowerPoint slides or over a screencast video to make sure the right information is being transmitted. Again, that would be saved as an MP4 video and quite simply uploaded to the platform. Then we have another method, which is doing screencasting. Now, screencasting is quite simply when you're recording the computer screen that you are using so that you can demonstrate how to do anything on screen. That could be using company systems, filling out online forms, building websites, absolutely anything that's done on a computer. You can download simple pieces of software that are very, very affordable. I'm using one at the moment to record my PowerPoint slides here. I'm screencasting using a piece of software called Camtasia. Now, there are lots of them out there. Go and do some research. But this is quite simply where you go into that piece of software and there's a big red button that says record the screen. And you can choose how much of the screen it records by just dragging your frame outwards or inwards. And again, that will save that screencast with your speaking voice. Right now, I've just got a microphone plugged into my computer. It's recording my voice and it's recording my screen at the same time. This is where save it as an MP4 video. Again, upload it to your school. Another method of a medium of delivering of content can be through audios and MP3s. You know, we've worked with meditation experts, for instance, who record meditation audios and upload those MP3 files to the online school. Maybe you're teaching communication on two-way radios. You could record maybe a role play or even a real two-way radio communication and use that as part of your training in some way. So whatever it may be where people have to listen, think, do, analyze, synthesize, whatever it may be, audio files can simply be uploaded as MP3 files into online learning platforms today as well. Another one we have is downloadable documents. So absolutely any file type you can possibly imagine, whether it's, you know, Microsoft documents like Excel sheets, documents, PDFs, you name it, JPEG files, images, whatever is a file can be uploaded, and you can click a button to say, make this downloadable, so that people can download those, print them, fill them out, refer to them later, use their own ink and printing to have access to it, so that you're saving on costs on printing as well. Now, the opposite of that is quite simply having it as a view-only files. Some documentation may change frequently. Therefore, what you don't want people to do is to be able to download them, because what might happen is they might go by their printed version. If the system's updated, for instance, then they're not going to have the up-to-date version. So by making your files viewable but not downloadable, you're making sure that every time your students log in, they only have access to the most up-to-date version of that particular system or documentation, whatever it might be. So it's a great way for making sure that compliance is up to date. Now, another great type of content you can use on online learning platforms today is embedding external media. You can embed external websites, external URLs of absolutely any kind, and this includes the URLs of live webinars and live streams. So this really lends itself well to blended learning. Let's say you can maybe put all of your induction training online, but then there might be an element where they have to go and work on the job, where they have to go and get their hands dirty and do some practical experience. You can then bring them back into the online learning platform at a determined period of time and actually engage all of the people in your training program in live webinar, in live tutorials. The great thing about this is if you have a geographically spread set of employees or people, you know, who are all over the place, you can make sure that they're receiving that same live training all at the same time at the same part of their learning program. So you're keeping everyone together, checking in, making sure that they've done the right things out in their placements or on the job where they work, so that you're bringing all of these different types of training together and using your e-learning platform as the one singular hub for connecting all of those pieces of training together, as opposed to just having it as a separated, excluded other element, another thing they have to do. You're making this the hub of all the different types of training that they're engaging with. Next, we have discussion areas. Now, again, in today's online learning world, there is a lot of evidence to show that social learning increases the retention of knowledge. It increases the attractiveness of that e-learning portal. Today, a lot of people go onto social media platforms to actually search for information, to find people who can answer their questions. They go into Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups, forums, and Q&A platforms to ask questions. Now, using discussion features inside your online learning platforms is a great way to make a e-learning culture inside your business. If people know they can come there and communicate, make friends with people in other departments, in other offices, in other locations that they wouldn't otherwise get to know. You can encourage the sharing of best practice. You can get people to share how they're implementing the new knowledge and skills in their particular role, in their particular locations. So by simply adding a discussion feature
you can guide those discussion areas by asking specific questions and getting them to answer specific questions in specific ways in that area. Or you can also add in just general conversation areas where they can discuss anything about that particular topic or the application of any of the knowledge to their field in their roles. Great way to encourage connectivity and interdepartmental knowledge sharing. Then we have quizzes and exams. So you can do this formally or informally. It can be a little bit of fun just again to check in, see where everyone's at, see if they're starting to take in the things that you are sharing in that course. Or again, you can use this very formally as part of compliance training or part of accredited training where significant evidence of assessment needs to be gathered. Regardless of whatever end of this you are delivering on collecting information about your learners from, very, very simple to set these up with inside the learning platform itself. So again, they don't need to leave, they don't need to necessarily even print any documentation at all in order to be able to take these assessments and show the progress of their learning and development. Another thing you can very easily embed is your polls and your surveys. So with polls and surveys, you can very, very easily, again, get people to check in with their knowledge, ask them questions, in the same way in face-to-face training, how you'd get people to just do a show of hands. Everyone raise your hand if. Everyone say yes or no if. Fantastic way to, again, get people engaged, interacting, sharing, and making that learning experience something that they would be very similar to a face-to-face training program. Now, another method is using gamification. This can be quite fun if you want to start getting individuals or groups of individuals or teams, offices, all starting to compete in a way that's going to be beneficial to the whole learning experience and the culture of your organization, of course. What you don't want to be doing is causing separation here. You want to be using gamification in a way whereby you're setting appropriate challenges or activities or quizzes that's going to give those individuals or groups of individuals scores that everyone inside the program can actually see, so that they can, work really hard to be the winners, to get the most points. And this can be a really fun way of getting people excited about your training, depending on the type of training you're delivering, of course, and the appropriateness of that within your business. And then finally, another way that you can use e-learning is to start using or embedding virtual reality training and simulation. This is great if there's a highly practical element to your training. Let's say people have to practice something that would be dangerous or very expensive to do, but you want them to have a go and have an experience at that before they go out and do the practical side of it. Now, an extreme example of this might be, let's say you want to teach people how to do underground mining. Now, it may be inappropriate to send brand new people who are only just thinking about going into that space straight out to site. It's unsafe, you don't have the right insurances, you might not have the right resources, capability, capacity, expenses, or whatever. Now, you can very simply use virtual reality today with a mobile phone and a pair of cardboard glasses for free from Google. You can actually very simply create learning experiences. Now, as an example, let's bring it back to something more simple. Let's pretend you're doing workplace safety training. Now, what you can do is quite simply get some 3D cameras. You can go around your office. You can pre-set up some unsafe situations in the office. You can go around, film the real office. And when people put those glasses on, they can walk around your real office. They're going around, they're having a look, and they can go and do a hazard assessment. They can go and literally see in the virtual experience, we can set up unsafe situations that you wouldn't really be able to set up. In the virtual world, for instance, we could have live wires that are broken laying down on the floor next to a pool of water. We could create situations whereby there were actual consequences if people didn't spot hazards. So what we could do, instead of giving people simple multiple choice assessments where, what would you do if you saw a pool of water? Or what would you do if you saw something up high that looked like it was going to fall down? Now, common sense would show them if they had a multiple choice option, would you ignore it, walk past it, or put into place the hierarchy of workplace safety. So what we can do in the virtual experience is actually test what would they really do, not what does their common sense say they should do in a multiple choice selection box. We can actually put them into the virtual experience, get them to walk around the office, and if they miss the thing that's up high that's very unsafe and about to fall off, we can drop it on their heads. Obviously, you could do that in the real world, but this gets them to have a taste of just how serious and severe the consequences of not following the process and procedures can actually be. We could get that electricity to start a fire in the virtual world. So you can see here how you can start bringing this to real life. Maybe you have customer-facing staff who deal with the public, for instance. I don't know, maybe you're in a council office where you're dealing with the public coming in. You could face real difficult customers in that virtual world. You could get the customer in the virtual world to get highly aggressive with them and see what their response would be and test whether they follow the procedures or not. So you can see here just how much we can take online learning to a level that we could not do necessarily in the face-to-face or real life world. Online learning has completely changed today, and if you're not learning or using this in your learning and development sections, you're really missing out on developing highly engaging training that can take people's skills and knowledge to a whole other level. So hopefully that just gives you some ideas now of how you can start repurposing your content and putting it into a learning experience that can completely change your users' lives, skills, and knowledge.